AKAPAD. Today, welcome back to the channel, but today we're discussing Moebius, one of the greatest comic book illustrators of all time. We're also discussing Halo. The two of them had a marriage, and you guys know I completely love Halo. Halo is the only modern video game I have played at length. I currently canceled my Xbox Live subscription because I was playing it a little bit too much in 2024. Maybe I'll return, but hey, I'm Spartan level 149. Come on. You know that's hard work. So let's hit the drawing table and crack open this bad boy. Let's go. Alright, this is Moebius, AKAPADers. I apologize. It's Alex Medleev. Brian Michael Bendis. I just bought this from my used bookstore for a whole $7. Upcoming on this channel, we will highlight and go through this Brian Michael Bendis Halo story that I was blown away by. I memory hold this work. This Brian Michael Bendis story makes you want to read everything Brian Michael Bendis, including the DC work. Yes, I've said it. But this is good stuff here. So we will have this upcoming on the channel. Hopefully I can see you there. Hopefully we can enjoy it together. And before we get into our book, this was Halo Mythos, a guide to the Halo story. Microsoft Studios 343. A buddy of mine, we used to log on and play Halo a lot. I would say like 5-6 years ago. He bought me this for Christmas. Back when we exchanged Christmas presents. We didn't see each other this year, but yeah, life gets busy. No hard feelings. He gave me this, and this was like one of those gifts that just blew me. It really blew me away. Because at that time, I didn't realize how like detailed a lot of the Halo stuff was. And, you know, we have the didactic, which, you know, this divides Halo fans. Look, it's part of that through line we talk about. So in Halo, the story moves forward, but the characters move backwards as of like when they first premiered in the Halo universe. It's okay. You know, like I like the knights here. I love fighting those things. Yeah, but it was like another road in the Halo universe by this time. And I really like this made playing the game so much more enjoyable. And I always loved the names of the ships, like the pillar of all of them. So yeah, this was a random gift that blew me away. That really unlocked a further interest in Halo. And before we get there, the guy who didn't make the greatest movie ever made, and Moebius. That's a Dune reference, by the way. This is all I have of Moebius. I know there's a lot of you out there that have like absolute Moebius libraries, because you know he was productive. Like every year he was like illustrating. He like roughly had like a 50 year career, and he just illustrate. He's just one of those talents that could just sit down and draw from memory and just create things, but really high level stuff. And Moebius really is just one of the great just illustrators, just guys that could draw. But I have this by George Dorowski, and I have this other collab that he did with George Dorowski by Humanoids, who's I believe a extension of Heavy Metal magazine at the time. But this is such a wild story. I love reading this. But yeah, this is adult European comics. Madwoman of the Sacred Heart. So with all of that, and then previously on this channel, we discussed the Simon Bisley Halo. And I reread this story before sitting down with you guys. It's essentially the Covenant encountering the Flood and a squad of elites basically getting split, having to defend their ship, save one of their prophets, and along the way sacrifice themselves. They lose themselves to the flood. They fight themselves because of the flood. Just being overtaken by the flood is just insane. And drawing the elites is one of the hardest things you can do as an illustrator, which is why we see a lot of like profile and side shots, like meaning, or like mirror shots. Like you can split this and mirror it, but we usually get the elites from like one or two angles. We don't get them moving around much as of like camera angle, but Bisley gets away with like a couple aggressive shots, like this one here with the elite jumping. And with all of that said, too, that observation does echo into Moebius. But look at Bisley painting these Covenant ships. This story is just fantastic. There's 4 stories in here. One of them silent. One of them literally has no words. I have to read the creator notes to kind of see what he says about this. And then like the other middle story, we're not 100%, yeah, we can pass on this. So let's get into the Moebius. Now here's the wild thing. We can read Brett Lewis. We read the afterwards here. They have like some footnotes. It says here that and I guess I'm spoiling the story here. It's only 14 pages. But Brett Lewis doesn't drive, has problems with computers, owns no television, and doesn't play many games. But then he writes this story, which is moving. This is such an interesting position. Moebius is just like, just Google me. That's essentially what he says here. What Moebius and Brett Lewis did was more than bring this one city in the game to life. They brought the whole civilian aspect of the Halo universe to life in a way not even the novels were able to do. There is more concentrated Halo goodness in these 14 pages than any 14 pages anywhere deserved. So this is essentially one of the cities, I believe Halo 2, which is where we're introduced to the Scarab. If you're not familiar with the Scarab, they're like these giant walkers. We fight those. We actually get inside one of those in Halo. So what do we do? Like, because I'll spoil the whole thing for you right here, because I want us to go through Moebius's paneling. The paneling here is so masterful. I think this is digital Moebius, by the way. I can tell, I might be wrong, but I can kind of tell by the way how some of the lines intersect. Maybe we'll do something on that later. But what he does with the paneling here, you can read, and I'll tease it here, but you can read the paneling kind of like in this direction, and then like from center out. Like, it's so masterful, so experimentational. I'm positive no one caught that. I'm positive no other YouTube channel caught that. I'm sorry, I gotta say it. So we have a city, and what do? We have this guy. This guy works for a PR firm, and the PR firm is focused in the city. Now, he says he lives in Mombasa. So this is New Mombasa, and then across the river is Old Mombasa. The Covenant attacked New Mombasa only because he lives here, and he takes the train in to New Mombasa, which is basically a industrial city. But he works for this PR firm, and they're like integrated into the military. So he takes all the war footage, and they weave these narratives out of the war footage to hide what's happening in the Halo universe to the humans, so that they can recruit. His efforts, he's almost the storyteller of the Halo propaganda to recruit soldiers, which kind of echoes into the overall idea that the humans in the Halo universe, they love fighting. If you ever play the game, they are so into the war. They're more into the war than the player, meaning like us or me. It's insane. But yeah, so this is he's at work. He talks about needing a translator because I guess like ever since Blade Runner, when we have the like a dialect on the street that it's its own separate dialect that's different than what the rich people speak or the affluent people, but their street level dialect. And he just talks about he just runs his translator the entire time, but he buys this like old photo, and he says here, but but I had a bit of trouble keeping up with the wired dialect. I've forgotten in the habit of keeping the translator running, blah blah blah. And they say like print is dead. But look at the paneling here. Like we can kind of go from like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or we can go from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But this is like the day the Covenant came, and we have these like fantastic illustrations though. I mean, so he sees a girl in the pink dress. That's hanging the lantern. There's a payoff for that later. But I just like how he like quickly renders some of these backgrounds. It's so nice. I also like his contrast. He does, and this is something that McFarlane actually picked up on. Like it's like realistic focal protagonist, right? Like this is our guy, and then we get like cartoony. We get like another. Like here, we'll see here. On the train, he talks to this guy from New York, and we see how he's drawn, right? But we see that this, like, he tags his own characters within his own story. Like the guy on the street, it's very realistically rendered, but he gets attacked. So essentially, the attack comes from his PR firm, and we are to believe that the Covenant is trying to destroy the propaganda arm of the Halo universe. They're trying to attack the information. Like that is so insanely intelligent. But we even see here he's talking with the soldier, which he basically calls a guy in a suit. And I look at this side by side shot. It's so freaking cool. I like how it goes from green to red, but this is another page where, like, again, we can read like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But when we turn the page, we might actually read this caption, and it goes, and it's challenging. But if we read enough comics, we know to kind of start at the top left corner. But it's not necessarily so once we turn the page, because now they get attacked. The soldier essentially. And look, I love like the hinges for like the monitor. The soldier's like, look, he gives all these historical examples of why they have to hide the violence. And this guy's like, look, maybe we should show people what they're seeing. Like maybe we should show them, like, let's stop this charade. And this guy's like, no. So as he's working on it, they get attacked. He gets attacked on his way home, and his train gets nuked. But we have these like, look, the Halo Warhogs. Like we see that the soldiers are getting deployed. And this is, he says here, like this is when we know the Covenant had found Earth. But we see him here too. Like, so it's, the coloring is masterful because we just have a random red panel, and we know that the red panel represents like it's a red alert. It's literally a red alert in the middle of the panel, and we know, and focal point. So we have the leg of the Scarab, again fighting these things in the Halo universe was insane. And then we get into some of the mastery. Look how we could possibly look at this page. It's such an odd S pattern. This is such an odd graphical element, but it does lead our eye to what to read, right? But then we see the woman in the dress, and they take off her dress to work on her. He ends up in the hospital, and they're evacuating everyone to the tunnels. He highlights the scarabs, which is weird because we know that the author doesn't know what any of this stuff is. But he must have been told, like, can we highlight the scarab? We have the Covenant just like nuking things. But look at this guy. This is like the falling down guy. just picking up a gun. He talks about the civilians like fighting back. Look, we have just gun distribution out of a random door. People, I like this guy's vest. And then we see a little bit of the observation of, let's just draw the Covenant from profile. We got some nice back shots here. But it's like, because we have to get things done, right? And rotating the elite, like, in your mind to draw is a very difficult thing. I don't know what other tools Moebius has, but here we go. Look, we need to clear this area before we can secure access to the Ark. So they're like, they're held down. And we have this other panel here where, again, like we're not really sure what some of the order is. But we can look, we go back and forth and look at this guy, like just on the ground, like sniping. This dude's like bleeding out. So look, get that recording out of the city. So he gets a recording potentially of maybe the scarab. He records something that needs to get out. So he's running to get out. And they see that the city is, look how nice of a panel this is. Look, just little quick, like little teepees for the people. We see smoke and fire. But he talks about the tunnels collapse. Everyone is on the boats doing what they can to get out. But see how he draws like random cartoon characters. This guy's great too, with the visor. Like his crowd stuff is just incredible. But then he sees this crying girl, like all alone. And then here we go. He gives the recording to her. Maybe they will make it. But what will it matter? This is the first day of the end of the world. And we're here. And that's it. That's movie. It is. When you flip through this, you're like, oh, what is Moebius doing? Like, this doesn't look like much of a story. But it changes when you read it. It does. So anyway, AKAPADers, that is for today. Halo and Moebius. Morbius. Is it Morbius or is it Moebius?